Ethan, my co-host. Today is the day. Do you know what day it is?
No, what's today, James?
Ethan, today is the day that we have joined the 1%. You know, most people, they start a podcast. They do one recording. They do two recordings. They do three recordings. And then, do you know what happens after that, Ethan?
No, I do
Oops.
not, James. Tell me. What happens after?
Statistically, I believe 90-something% of podcasts, they don't make it past 19 episodes. It's truly a tragedy. There's nothing good about all of these podcasts that die after just 19 episodes or fewer. Ethan, I don't know if you remember the exact numbers, but I mean, some of these podcasts, they actually die within I think half podcasts die before 5 episodes. Is that the number?
90% of podcasts don't get past 10.
90% of podcasts don't get past 10 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
This is sad.
James, tell me, what is so special about today's episode?
Well, today, Ethan, we have officially joined the top 1% because this is our 20th episode. We survived. We survived, Ethan. We've done it. We're in the 1%. This is the moment that we've all been waiting for. Now, without further ado, Ethan, what's your thought of the day?
How I don't want you to use a soundboard ever again. And James, what is your thought of the day? Please stop me.
I expected it to have stopped by now, so I'm sorry. Okay, I fixed. You know, I'm sure that someone's already called themselves this, but I am Mr. Producer right now.
Is that your thought of the day, that you're Mr. Producer right now?
No, my thought of the day is that all of this, most podcasts don't make it past 10 episodes, 3 episodes, 9 episodes, whatever it is. One of the great things about technology is that it's really lowered the barrier to entry. And so you can get started really easily, which is an awesome thing. But I think the thing that technology has also made true is that to go from getting started, which is now as easy as it's ever been with any endeavor, going from getting started to seeing success, that gap has actually gotten a lot wider. So it used to be, if you got started, you were successful. An example might be if you were an author in the, say, 20th century, you had to find a publisher who was willing to publish your book. And that was nigh on impossible. But once you had a publisher, you were pretty much guaranteed success at some level. But the situation now is, if you don't need to find a publisher, you can write a book and publish it instantly. But the difficulty is actually in finding the success instead of sort of finding that initial way to get in. And so we are in the 1% now. And you know what? I'm going to do it. Ethan, we are in the 1% now. And that means that we are officially successful, I think. Wouldn't you agree?
I'm sorry, I still can't get over the soundboard. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ethan Benstead. This is James Dent. Welcome back to the Disciples of Zeus podcast. Today, it won't be a super long episode, but James is correct. We have reached. This is our 20th episode, so we have made it into the top 1%. And I completely agree with what you said there. The barrier to entry is so low these days. However, to continue going, that's where the effort is. And there was a little while there where we weren't really doing this for like a couple of weeks just because stuff was going on with our personal lives and just didn't have the time to do it. But we are now here, and what to say? I was gonna say I feel pretty good about it, but now I'm wanting to change my answer from that.
This is just a party time episode. This is just a good time to be around, good time to be alive. This whole episode is just a party because we're in the 1%. And Ethan, subjectively, would you say that it took a lot of effort to reach the 1%?
God no.
How, like, if you had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, I'm going to say, like, brain dead TikTok scrolling.
Yep.
And 10 being, like, Sisyphean ordeal. How hard did you find it to reach the 1%? I'll be right back, sorry.
To reach the 1%, I would say, personally, it was like a 3 or a 4. I think I'm just talking to the listener right now. But he's back.
3 or a 4?
Yeah.
I'd have to agree.
Realistically, all we've done is talk about things that we usually talk about in our personal lives. The hard thing has just been scheduling and finding a good platform to actually record on. But now that we've done both of those things, and I mean, yeah, I'd say a 3 or a 4. It wasn't that difficult to get to the 1%. It just took time.
Yeah, there's no question about that. It's been really quite easy and simple. And for me, I suppose part of the question is, why does it seem to be so difficult for other people that are not us to reach that 1% mark?
I think because we both have the same visions for this. Like, I mean, I hope we have the same visions for this. Like, I don't want to stop this, right? Like, I think Disciples of Zeus could become a really big thing if we keep going on about it, just to help young men, women in general to achieve greatness, to succeed in the things they do. And of course, there's a lot of channels out there that already do that. But there's nothing wrong with getting a fresh perspective from 2 strapping gents like ourselves.
Strapping gents. And of course, the community that we're building around this, it's going to be a great, big, awesome community.
Yeah.
And as we continue to all rise into the 1%, create our own little podcasts, generate this gigantic surface area of luck and success. Sorry, I was hoping that would last a little bit longer. Our 1% club will grow and grow and grow until we finally reach the pinnacle where everyone who we associate with is the 1%. Now, Ethan.
Yes, James.
We said that it's, relatively speaking, in terms of this podcast, it's been kind of a joke to reach the 1%.
Yeah.
But how would you say the results have been? Like, have you felt like, I've gotten, I'm in the top 1% in terms of everything now that I'm in the top 1% in terms of podcasting? How have you felt the results have been for getting in the 1%?
I think you can take this from a couple of different ways. Again, as we've said, the barrier to entry for most things is very, very low. So to reach the 1% for podcasts has been quite easy because a lot of people give up before even creating 10 episodes. 90% of people give up before creating 10 episodes. But I don't think I've hit top 1% in every single part of my life. Like, I'm definitely not top 1% for my fitness. I'm definitely not top 1% of my financial goals. I'm definitely not top 10% or even 1% of most things in my life. But I guess it's kind of like I've shown proof now that I can get to the top 1% of something, which means it's achievable in every part of my life.
Yeah, no doubt. Well,
that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Welcome to the 1%. But I think the thing that I referenced it at the start of the episode as well, but being in the 1% is not enough. Was that loud enough?
Yeah.
Did you catch that?
I did.
Are you sure?
No.
Being in the 1% is no longer enough. You have to be like the person now. Because I'm here to tell you, listeners, that we are in the top 1% of podcasts worldwide. And our returns have been... Now, aside from our massive amounts of returns and our success, if we take a look forward and we say, okay, where does a really successful podcast end up? I think one of the places you could look is the Tim Ferriss show. And he gets multiple $1,000 sponsorships every episode. He gets to interview like all of these world-class performers that like we all look up to. He gets to just hang out with them, talk to them as friends. You know, sometimes he'll just sit in a hot tub with them. It's super duper cool. And the rewards are like astonishing. Not to mention, you know, all of the other like financial rewards, like, you know, his newsletter that he sells, like the actual like ad revenue from YouTube and whatnot. But like, if you want to just look at it, you know, in terms of finances and in terms of a hobby, he gets these insane rewards. But he is not in the 1%. He is the number one ever. Same thing with Joe Rogan. You know, Joe Rogan's up to, I think, like 1,300 episodes at the time of recording. Not including all of his other separate episodes. That's just on the main show.
Yeah.
And as a percentage, we're like, I regret going for the percentage. We are 1/65th of the way there. That puts it into perspective. So, moving forward, Ethan, I know you have somewhere to be at the end of this episode, but celebration time.
Of course.
Moving forward, where do you see this podcast going, and what kind of time frame do you imagine that's going to look like?
Well, I think for this podcast, our first goal was to get to 100 to 20 episodes to solidify that. Look, we can make these. We've reached that goal. I think the next goal now is, I don't know, 100 episodes. Just keep going volume. Maybe putting some more effort into creating better styles of content.
More sound effects, I think.
No more sound effects. Perhaps now that we've done 20, getting some other people onto the podcast to have a chat with us about their life and whatnot. I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that we can push for now that we've done the 20. Now that we've proven to ourselves that we can do it. But I think the next
we are certified legit. We are in the top 1% of podcasts, and I think we can sort of leverage that now. Like any endeavor in life. I was writing a resume yesterday, and all of these like things that I thought were like pointless endeavors that didn't pan out, they all look really, really great on a resume. Even though, like subjectively, I would be like, well, you know, I didn't see enough of a financial reward from it. I had to shut it down. But when you put them all together on a resume, they actually look really impressive. And an employer would be like, wow, this guy's spent like $15,000 on Facebook ads and returned a profit. That's insane. Likewise, subjectively, we might not be feeling like being in the 1% is a thing. But, if we were to say, hey, we're a podcast, we exist, we are arguably in the top 1% of podcasts in the world, a prospective guest would probably be like,
Jesus Christ.
That's what our prospective guests are going to say. They're going to be like, top 1% of podcasts in the world? That is legitness. But this is literally, like, when we call someone up and we say, hey, do you want to come on our podcast? They're going to be like, why should I come on your podcast? And we'll say, we're in the top 1%. And then you know what they're going to say? It's fun to talk to you, just occasionally.
It is fun, isn't it?
Even be like,
okay, right. I'm gonna end the celebrations here right now. For the people that have started on the journey with us from episode 1, I would personally like to say thank you. If you are new to the podcast, go ahead and look at some of our other videos that we've done, whether that be on YouTube or Spotify. If you enjoyed the content, give us a rating on Spotify, like, share, subscribe on YouTube. And I hope that we can continue bringing value to the marketplace and keep giving you pockets of wisdom throughout the journey of this podcast.
Absolutely. This is the final cue that we have for you to continue on us with this journey, see how we go from being the top 1% to the top half of 1% at 100 episodes, or whatever the math works out to be. And, you can always feel free to start your own podcast. You can join the 1%. It is really not that hard. Ethan, we spent probably a cumulative 15, 20 hours getting into the top 1%. There's no reason that you couldn't do shorter episodes and get into the top 1% a lot faster. And the rewards will, hopefully, over time, start to speak for themselves. But Ethan, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you for this journey. I cannot wait for us to continue our avalanche of achievement, our stream of success, and our bounties of brilliance.
Well done. James,
thank you.
As always, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I cannot wait to see you on the next one.
Absolutely. Ethan, please take care. I will see you on the next one. Goodbye, dear listener.